the walls. We're breaking free. Yeah, we're breaking free. No more oppression. It's out for liberty. Breaking free. Yeah, we're taking a stand. Freedom's in our hearts. We're reclaiming our land. They try to silence us, but we won't be tamed. Voices getting louder, can't keep us in chains. We got the power, we got the might. Together we can shine, together we can fight. Feel the rhythm in your feet, it's time to stand tall. Raise your voice and shout, we're breaking down the walls. We're breaking free, yeah, we're breaking free. No more oppression, it's out for liberty. Breaking free, yeah, we're taking a stand. Freedom's in our hearts, we're reclaiming our land. They try to silence us, but we won't be tamed. Voices getting louder, can't keep us in chains. We got the power, we got the might. Together we can shine, together we can fight. Feel the rhythm in your feet, it's time to stand tall. Raise your voice and shout, we're breaking down the walls. We're breaking free, yeah, we're breaking free. No more oppression, it's out for liberty. Breaking free, yeah, we're taking a stand. Freedom's in our hearts, we're reclaiming our land. We're claiming our land.
I hate this show. Oh my goodness. Happy Tuesday, everybody, and welcome to Are You Smarter Than a Politician? This is the political cage match where bold solutions win and bad ideas get wrecked. Tonight on the show, America's government was meant to serve the people, but now the machine serves itself. From bloated bureaucracy and failing schools to executive overreach and runaway debt, we're asking, can citizens take power back from the unelected machine? Three sharp political minds face off tonight on checks and balances, transparency, and who really runs this country. It's the people versus the machine. And tonight, we will find out who is smarter than a politician. Joining us tonight for the first time on the show, DL Cummings. He's the host of the Liberty Dad podcast, which you can find on Rumble and YouTube. And he is on X at Liberty Dad Pod. How are you tonight, DL?
Very well. Thank you for having me tonight. I look forward to it. Hopefully we'll have some good answers.
Excellent. And I was on your show not too long ago, and I had a really good time,
Yes.
and I really enjoy your show. It's one of the best shows out there. So thank you for doing
I appreciate it. It was great to have you on Dad Talk. We had a chat about being dads. It was awesome.
Yeah. Apparently you wanted to hear from somebody that had the wrong answer, so you could have those on record. Excellent. Also joining us, Franklin Pride. You can follow him on X at, I have no idea even how to say that, so I'm going to let him say that.
Gargaret Sundman.
All right, I'll take your word for it. Franklin, how are you tonight?
Excellent, excellent. I primarily do politics in Wisconsin. I work with the executive board, and that's the majority of the stuff I do on the political side. Otherwise, I basically just make games for a living. So a lot of from the outside looking in and volunteering.
Excellent. Well, we appreciate having you. And last but not least, also the first time on the show, Matthew Hunt. He is on X at Matthew Hunt II. I believe that means 2 in Roman numerals. And just a little fun fact for the crowd there. How are you tonight, Matthew?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing really well. Introduce yourself to everybody.
So I'm on X. I mainly post about politics and stuff. I mean, I don't have a podcast or anything, so I'm fairly new to all this, but I'm 18 years old. And yeah, that's about it.
You're not officially into politics until you have at least one podcast, preferably 3 or 4.
Yeah, well, this will be my third. My first was Brent's Aiming Up podcast. And then my second was actually a live stream where I was interviewed about being unvaccinated. So, and both of those you can find on the highlights in my X account.
Excellent. All right. Thank you for joining us. And also joining us, the lovely Terry Batts. We traded her to something called the Sugar Hill Gang or something like that. You can see on her profile, but she came back under protest, I assume. How are you tonight, Terry?
It was It was officially under protest. Yes, I can assure you of that. Hi, everybody in the chat. Let's go, you guys. Let's get it done. Another Tuesday night.
Excellent. And you can follow Terry and I on X. I am Freedom for Us for All. She is Bat T76. You can get our merch at freedomsuperstore.com. I am wearing my other car is a Killdozer shirt because it's very cold here in Florida and I'm freezing. We also have mugs there. Follow us on YouTube and Rumble at Freedom Uncut. Terry's been putting awesome shorts up on YouTube, so go out there and check out the shorts. You can subscribe to us on X for exclusive content and events, show credit, discounts on merch, instant follow, and priority DMs. This is your backstage pass. Just want to give a shout out to our subscribers. Terry is paying to be here, which boggles my mind. Thank you, Terry. Amity's a subscriber. Ocean Blue, check out her artwork. Shirley joins us from across the pond every single show. Dr. Belay and Lisa Belay, Dan, Chris, Casey, who hosts the They Both Suck podcast, Dave Krantz, who just ran a great race in Virginia, Jake Day, who's hosting Whiskey, If by Whiskey, with our buddy Mark Pools, Phil Rain from the LPA, Jacob Winograd is also a subscriber, and also just subscribing is Anarcho. What is it? Some Anarcho SCC. Got some gear up there. That's Brent Freeman. So go check out Anarcho SCC for some cool Anarcho gear. Appreciate all the sponsors or the subscribers. If you want to sponsor us, you can email us at studio@freedomuncut.com. So let's jump into it here. Oh, let's say hi to the chat. Actually, let's say hi to the chat real quick.
Hello, chat.
Amity's here. Thanks, Amity. Chris is here. There's Patty. And there's Shirley, as predicted. There's Casey. TL gets a shout out from Chris. 100 for that guy. You might need to be more specific, Patty, but somebody's on the board.
Clearly Matthew Hunt.
There's D. What's up, D? Liberty Dad is super close to being monetized on his YouTube. Very exciting. Yeah, follow him on YouTube for sure. Follow him on all the channels. Dan's here. This show is on Tuesdays now. Yeah, only for like last 6 months, Si. Thanks for keeping up. We have Fridays as well, Si, if you want to put that on your calendar. What's up, William? He is the agorist. There will be an agorist question at some point. I'm foreshadowing. First 200 to Matthew for his base take on spaces. All these Florida people complain that it's cold. Yes, it is cold. Terry's putting her shorts on YouTube in the cold. What? Yeah, that didn't make much sense. So I'll own that. All right. So this is Are You Smarter Than a Politician? Please share this out. Help us bust the algorithm. The winner tonight, if I gave out actual prizes, would get the virtual Ron Paul holding the Ron Paul trophy. We also have, if you missed the government during the shutdown, we have the do-it-yourself federal government. You open the box of nothing and it does nothing in your own home. We have the Mike Johnson signature cologne Swamp Ass, as well as the Ayn Rand Fountainhead teddy bear. We also have the Trump random tariff generator. How this works is you pull the arm to generate a tariff and Trump pulls a tariff out of his ass. We have the home edition of Are You Smarter Than a Politician if you want to annoy your friends and neighbors. We have the Ron Paul and the Murray Rothbard bobbleheads. And we also have the Lego Killdozer because nobody talks about the Killdozer more than me and Casey. Here's the rules. I am the government. Whatever I say goes. Scoring errors count. Life isn't fair. Suck it up, Buttercup. Nobody cares. The rules are the contestants can debate each other. They can veto each other's answers. They could tariff an answer, redistribute an answer. And of course, they start off with negative 500 points because the government gets paid first. Here's how scoring works. The chat controls the score. So you can give or take up to 100 points from the contestant. Tell us why you liked their answer or didn't like their answer. We might put it up on the screen. Little subscriber bonus. Subscribers can give or take up to 200 points. That's how crony capitalism works. If you pay the government, you get more privileges. Nuking scores. Any former contestant can nuke a score, taking it all the way down to negative 1,000 points. A contestant can only be nuked one time, however. All right, here we go. I'm going to put Terry in the back. She controls the chat and the scoring. Make her life difficult. Thank you, Thank you, Terry. All right, first question is to DL. Category is checks and balances. Has the balance of power between states and Washington already been broken beyond repair?
Yes. Oh,
Want to
do I need to
elaborate?
get more than that? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It looked like a yes or no question. So I was like, the lightning round. I was like, I better be quick. So yes, yes, it has. It has been broken beyond repair. In terms of the government fixing itself, the checks and balances that are supposed to be there to operate and to correct itself are broken. So now the people need to throw them all out and start all over.
Excellent. And that's exactly how it's done, DL. So thank you for that. It's a yes or no question, and then just elaborate a sentence or two if you would. So, Franklin, to you, has the modern presidency become a constitutional loophole for tyranny?
I mean, it depends a lot on who the president is, but in recent history, yes. It really feels like the Congress has given the president so much leeway to do whatever they want through previous administrations that at this point, the president can almost do anything they want. And they kind of need to be held back at least a little more.
All right. And Matthew, you had a little interference, so I muted you. I'm unmuting you now. But your question is, has Congress surrendered too much power to unelected agencies?
Absolutely. I mean, the bureaucracy runs deep. Most of the lawmaking power has been given towards agencies and unelected bureaucrats, and we see that with administrative law, and it's very much a threat to liberty.
Excellent. All right. We got through one round of this. Back to you, DL. Has Congress surrendered that's a very similar question. So has Congress surrendered most of its power to unelected bureaucrats as well?
No, they have not surrendered anything. They have absolutely flat out 100% given it to them.
Excellent. All right. Franklin, to you. Should the Supreme Court be able to overturn laws that clearly violate state sovereignty?
If they're deemed unconstitutional, it's kind of what the Supreme Court is for. So yes, but will they? I don't think the Supreme Court doesn't really vote more often than not on the law. More often than not, it's ideology these days. It's just a lot of the ones voting for the law, at least they have enough number in there that they can persuade the others to come along with them sometimes.
Excellent. All right, Matthew, to you. Should lifetime appointments for judges be replaced with fixed terms for greater accountability?
I would say yes. I think the lifetime appointments are a breeding ground for corruption, and I think any position in the federal government should have at least some form of term limits. So yes.
Excellent. DL, back to you. Category is limited government. Do Americans need fewer laws and more personal responsibility?
Yes, they do. The reason they need fewer laws and more personal responsibility is because that is how they will best thrive. Without that, as we are seeing right now, and as we'll see in New York, I don't know, in the coming years, we will see they will not thrive any better than they were before, but absolutely worse.
All right. Franklin, to you. Should entire federal departments be abolished if states determine their missions overlap with state or private functions?
I mean, it depends a lot on who's doing the abolishing. So I would probably say it's closer to a no than a yes for me. It feels a lot like if you're getting rid of a federal department completely and it's the states deciding it, more often than not, they just be like, well, we want to do whatever the heck we want, and we're just going to ignore you. Not necessarily for a good reason. Not many states, I think, could be trusted with the power to eliminate federal departments. It would be a bad idea. Congress, though, maybe they could.
Interesting. All right. It was my bad idea, so I'll take that. Matthew, to you. Has regulation done more to protect big corporations than consumers?
I would definitely say yes on that. I think regulation definitely hurts the consumer. It chains capitalism to where it limits it, and we've gotten to a point where we're not really a capitalist society. We're mixed, and I don't think that's a good thing. And I think that the government should focus its attention towards the individual.
All right. DL, back to you. Should every new federal rule require an automatic expiration date unless renewed by Congress?
Yes. You know, people love to say, well, Congress doesn't do anything, so we'll give them something to do. We'll give them the need to go back and say, yes, we want to re-up this law every single time.
Love it. Franklin, to you. Is America's biggest threat today an overgrown government, not foreign enemies?
Probably. Yes. I would say more close to yes on this one. There's a lot of foreign enemies that are doing some pretty nasty things, like the recent, Chinese spies captured with biological terrorism weapons that could destroy the entire crops of like 2 or 3 varieties. I think that was recent history. There's enough foreign entities doing things that could seriously harm the U.S. that it's kind of a toss-up. But yeah, big government, if it got smaller, it'd be good for us, for sure.
All right. Matthew, to you. Should public good ever justify government interference in private business decisions?
I would say no. I don't think the government should interfere in private business at all.
All right. DL, back to you. Category is executive creep. Did you see what I did there? Executive creep. Has the presidency evolved into a near monarchy?
In the traditional sense, not so much, but in a more roundabout proxy sense, definitely. We're seeing that right now with Donald Trump, where he's saying, this is what I want. And then we have the Speaker of the House and other people that are basically playing along, using their power to do his will. And of course, we see a lot of people out there saying, oh, well, he has a mandate.
All right. Franklin, to you. Should states have veto power over federal executive actions that affect them directly?
If it's a lawful executive action, no. If it's an executive action that is even slightly shaky, like we don't have any real basis for this, nobody's ever done this before, if there's no constitutional law backing it, then yeah, they should be able to just say, we're not going to do that because you have no right to ask us to. But I mean, if there's a law that says I can do that as president, then they probably shouldn't be able to override it.
All right. Matthew, to you. Should the military chain of command be less dependent on one person?
That's an interesting question. I think that if it's not dependent on one person, there's a lot of room for, bureaucrats taking control. So I would say I would much rather have an elected official running the military, but it's an interesting question. So I would say that I would be more dependent on one elected official.
Okay. All right. We are at the first score break. If you've not entered your scores in the chat, please do so now. Let's see what we got so far. Brent's here. Thanks for this, the subscription, Brent. Plus 200 to Matthew for doing the Aiming Up podcast. Yeah, everybody check that out. Not my cookies. Oh, this sounds fun. First time here. Welcome. 200 DL for sending me Scott Horton's awesome book, Provoked, last year. Still reading it in pieces. That was nice of you. Phil's here. Did I hear correctly? Someone unironically considers themselves a Republican on this panel. 100 if you can say what tariffs are.
Do I have a chance to do that?
Yeah, go for it.
A tariff is a tax imposed upon an import on the person buying it. So if someone in America buys a good from China and there's a 45% tariff, then they pay 45% extra when it comes in. It inflates the price, and thus means that people will buy more domestic goods, because if you tariff a foreign good, the domestic good ends up being more affordable by comparison. That's basically what people do it for, trade controls.
Until they raise the price to match the foreign price, minus a penny or something, right?
Well, yes. But I mean, capitalism, right?
Well, yeah, crony capitalism, right? Just like our subscriber program here on the show, you can subscribe to us. So, yeah. All right. And it's a regressive tax, too. It hurts the poor more than anybody else. So, all right, back into it. D's got 100 for Liberty Dad with a stellar answer right out of the box. Rude's here. What's up? 50 to Franklin for that epic shine. 100 to Matthew for term limits. Welcome, Mina. 100 to Liberty Dad for the great answer on limited government. First round, first 3 questions go to Matthew Hunt, 100 points. Minus 200 to Franklin. States should be able to abolish and nullify any federal agency they want. Good answer, Liberty Dad. 100 for the monarchy answer. Our government probably paid for those dangerous programs, 100%. 150 to DL for the almost monarchy. Minus 50 to Matthew. Decentralizing is better. 150 to Matthew. 100 to Franklin for admitting tariffs or attacks. 100 to DL for having his podcast Liberty Dad. Yes, thank you. And Ryan Woodcraft, who had a historic victory in El Paso. Minus 100 to anyone who isn't a veteran on Veterans Day. I forgot to wish our veterans a happy Veterans Day, and we probably should have done a veterans show, but I guess we didn't think about that. But and Ryan's a veteran, so thank you for your service, Ryan. We've had a lot of great veterans on. Ryan was on for a great veterans show we did not too long ago with Dave Marino and Mike Scott. That was a lot of fun. So thank you for being here, Ryan. All right, let's check the scores. And I need to hit a button here, so give me 1 second. The new scoreboard brought to us by Casey, because I don't know how to do this stuff. And let's see here. All right. And he made it bigger so I can read it. So this was his senior citizen gift to me. Matthew in the lead with 300 points. DL in second with 250. And Franklin slightly behind, has made up 250, but is still at negative 250. Franklin, you're in third place. What do you think so far?
I admitted I'm a Republican. This was inevitable.
It's a fair thought on it. DL, you're in second. What do you think?
Having fun so far. We'll see how the night goes.
All right. And the boy wonder, Matthew jumps out to an early lead. What's up, Matthew? What do you think?
It's going great so far. I'm having a blast.
Excellent. All right, let's jump back into it. DL, back to you. Category is transparency. Is secrecy in government more dangerous than leaks?
Yes. The problem with secrecy is that the things that we might want to know, Epstein files, are the things that they do their damnedest to keep secret.
All right. I don't think we're going to see the Epstein files, but, call me jaded. Franklin, to you. Is classified information abused to cover up incompetence and corruption?
Oh, yes. And non-hidden and non-secret information is also used to cover it up. I mean, they'll cover it up with anything they've got. The simple fact is there isn't a single government program that hasn't gotten corrupt, bloated, and overpriced in under 20 years. So, yes, they're covering it up with more methods than just that one, though.
All right. Matthew, to you. Should federal agencies face criminal penalties for withholding information from the public?
Yeah, absolutely. I think in cases like the surveillance state, that's obviously unconstitutional and that's breaking the law. So they should absolutely face criminal penalties for it.
Excellent. DL, back to you. Category is failure of American public schools. Have teachers' unions done more to protect teachers than educate kids?
Why, yes, they have. And the only thing that we need to look at are the school scores across the United States, which I believe are in the 30s and 40s for education proficiency in areas of math and reading.
Absolutely. Franklin, to you. Should parents have full control of where their child's education funding goes?
You really teed me up for this one. I honestly feel like at this point, if they simply said, hey, we're spending $17,000 per kid, certain states, if a parent can decide to give that to a private school, public school, if, they're silly, or take it as cash and homeschooling, I feel like that everybody would be better off. The simple fact is you got 3 kids in homeschooling. Now your single mom doesn't have to work and she's still teaching her kids. It's great. Let them control their money. More often than not, they will not pick the government because nobody wants their kids in public schools if they can afford it.
I agree. Matthew, to you. Has government control of education produced a less capable generation of Americans?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the government control in education has produced education that teaches you to follow the system and not to think for yourself. So when you follow the system, you're very much less capable.
Excellent. All right, DL, to you. Have public schools become training grounds for compliance instead of critical thinking?
Oh, why, yes, they have. The problem that we have here is that they are more worried about the test so that they could say, hey, look at the grade that our school has, instead of saying, hey, look at what the students are actually producing.
I agree. Franklin, to you. Should communities, not Washington or states, decide what students are taught?
That's too big a group. I would say no. The parents should decide. Don't leave it up to the communities. It's just a smaller form of the bigger problem. Parents should be able to decide what their kids are taught at all times. And if the local schools are basically force feeding them things the parents don't want them to be taught, they should have an option to either change the curriculum or take their kid out and not be penalized in any financial way by the local area. And depending on the state, taking your kid out and homeschooling them, you get penalized a lot. So it should be based on the parents, not the community, not your school board, not the government.
I agree. Matthew, to you. Should public schools lose funding when student performance declines year after year?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there needs to be an incentive to actually improve education. And if you just get limitless funding without any, penalties for poor teaching, then education will not improve. So I would agree.
All right. DL, back to you. Category is academic corruption and propaganda. Should taxpayer funding be cut from universities that suppress political diversity?
Yes. One of my favorite thinkers, the great Thomas Sowell, has pointed out that you can ask schools and say, how many Republicans or libertarians or anybody that's not a liberal are teaching in your schools? And that will give you an exact answer on what they really feel about diversity.
All right. Franklin, to you. Have universities become propaganda centers instead of places for learning?
I would say that they've always been propaganda centers, unfortunately. It was just propaganda people agreed with back in the day. The fact is, a college is run by the people on the board, and the longer college has continued, the more and more and more that board has become overrun with ideologies people don't agree with. Just now they notice it. If their kid is being taught, hey, America is great, also check out this cool science thing, back in the day, that's propaganda, true. They're basically just in favor of the thing you're in favor of. So I would say they've always been propagandizing. And it's just the propaganda stuff we don't agree with now.
All right. Matthew, to you. Should colleges be financially liable when degrees provide no real job value?
Yeah, I definitely would agree with that. I think that the ultimate goal of college should be to, prep you for for a job, and if they can't do that, then they need to be liable in at least some kind of way.
All right. DL, to you. Should the federal government stop guaranteeing student loans altogether?
Yes. Yes, just absolutely yes. They should stop guaranteeing any loans of any kind whatsoever. Yes.
All right. Franklin, to you. Should tenured professors lose protection if found promoting political indoctrination in class?
I don't think there should be tenured professors. And since all professors are doing some sort of political indoctrination to some respect, this will get rid of all their tenureship. So yeah, totally. They should lose it. All of them.
All right. Matthew, to you. Is academic freedom dead when only one ideology dominates the campus?
Yeah, definitely. If only one ideology dominates it, then there's no room for free thinking. And when there's no room for free thinking, then there's not much room for learning.
All right. Enter your scores in the chat if you have not done so already. Now the chat's hopping. Let's see what they had to say. Chris has got 200 to Matthew. When I was 18, I wouldn't know how to talk about this stuff. 100%. Ocean Blues here. Check out her artwork. 100 to anyone who makes fun of me for my spelling error. I'll do it for you, Ryan. That was terrible. Amity's got 200 to DL for government transparency. 100 to DL transparency helps prevent corruption. 200 to Franklin for corrupt government programs. Great answer, DL. 100 for mentioning the Epstein files. 100 to Franklin. It's all corrupt. However, it's been much longer than 20 years. 50 to DL for the Epstein drop. LOL. 200 for whenever Matthew begins his anarchist endgame. Yeah, come to the dark side with us, Matthew. 50 to Matthew, indict them. 200 DL, homeschool your kids. All caps too from Amity there. Compliance is death this year. Welcome. 100 to Matthew for understanding corruption and wanting to punish. Don't get Liberty Dad going on the Department of Education. 100 points. 125 to Matthew for wanting to hold these corrupt politicians accountable. People hold them accountable. 100 to Franklin. The funding should follow the child. 200 to Franklin for school choice. If they're going to tax us, parents should decide how those funds are used. Minus 100 to Franklin in a Yoda voice. Strong is statism in this one. 100 to Matthew for resisting the programming. 100 to Matthew for hating government schools. 100 to DL for recognizing and calling out administrator focus in education. Dang, Mr. 18 is a smart one. 200 to Matthew for the schools. 100 to DL because most don't. 100 to Franklin, the state isn't daddy. 200 to Matthew for no limitless government funding without positive results. 100 to Franklin, he describes decentralization by parents being in charge of their child's education. 100 to DL, he quoted Sowell. Read Thomas Sowell if you haven't. 50 to DL, taxpayer funds should be cut from all universities. 200 to DL for the Sowell quote. 100 to Franklin, propaganda and programming on all sides. 100 to DL for mentioning Sowell within the first 30 minutes. 100 to Franklin, colleges being propaganda. Minus 50 to Matthew, the universities didn't choose the degree or career path. The contract goes to the college, was never to guarantee careers. Minus 100 to Matthew. 100 to Franklin for mentioning science propaganda. Hashtag that's my bag, baby. 100 to DL, no loan subsidies. 50 to Franklin for the propaganda. 200 to DL, no government student loans. 100 to DL for wanting to get the government out of student loans. Minus 100 to Franklin, the university ran without our money. It's free to teach whatever they want. 50 to Matthew for being a free thinker. 200 to Matthew, no free thinking suppresses learning. 50 to Matthew for understanding the college dynamic at his age. 100 to DL, I think he's a libertarian. I think that's true. 100 to Matthew for thinking quickly and answering without hesitation while so young. 100 to DL for Epstein files, we shall not forget. All right, let's check out the scores again and see where we are at.
That's a lot of tally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Terry works vigorously back there. So, all right, let's see. DL has jumped out in the lead with 2,050. Matthew with 1,400. And Franklin's in the positive now with 1,100. Let's jump back to it. DL, back to you. The Affordable Care Act's excessive healthcare costs. Should individuals be free to buy insurance across state lines without federal restrictions?
Absolutely. We buy many other things across state lines already. So why not add one more and let the free market do its thing and reduce cost?
All right. Franklin, to you. Did the Affordable Care Act make healthcare less affordable for most Americans?
I mean, if anybody says no, they're blind and lying, depending on who they are and where they are. Simple fact is, at this point, they should be talking about repealing it as their first order of business, but yeah, a lot of them are too scared to do anything, so we'll see what happens.
All right. Matthew, to you. Has government involvement inflated medical costs more than it improved access?
Yeah, definitely. It's simple answer, yes.
All right. DL, back to you. Have health insurance mandates turned care into compliance instead of compassion?
They actually have. Try to summarize this, but if you think about, if you go and you look at the data, it will tell you that doctors actually spend less time listening to their patients than they have before. There's many of studies out there that are proving this. We are getting more and more entrenched into compliance and less about just listening to patients, hearing their story, giving them a good diagnosis.
All right. Franklin, to you. Should Congress repeal the Affordable Care Act entirely instead of tweaking it endlessly?
Yes, they should. I don't think they will, though. So I would be happy if they just said, hey, guys, we don't want to touch this because, we got no guts. But we'll give you a no-fee HSA and emergency-only healthcare as an exception to the ACA, and you can use that in the meantime. Everybody just switch. It would collapse, and it'd be dead without them doing anything. I'll take that, too.
All right. Matthew, to you. Should Americans be free to opt out of all federal healthcare programs?
Yes, absolutely. You should be free to do whatever you want, and you should not. Federal healthcare programs should not be. They shouldn't be mandated. They should definitely be optional.
All right. DL to you. The category is congressional blockage. Should every member of Congress be required to vote on a balanced budget before any new spending bill?
Yes. We should have their votes and their votes on record, and they should tell us how much of the bill they actually read while they're at it.
I like it. Franklin, to you. Has the filibuster become an excuse for inaction rather than a tool for fairness?
Oh, yeah. They've gotten lazy. The filibuster back in the day, back when it was first used, was literally people spending 20 hours talking up front until they collapsed of exhaustion and dehydration to basically try to block something they didn't believe in. Now they literally just hit a button and go, I am filibustered, donk. And then it happens. There's no effort put into it. Therefore, it's now just a corrupt tool to use as an excuse to do nothing. And the fact is, either they should make it be, you have to talk for the entire time and put some actual effort in, or it should be eliminated completely. This middle ground is useless.
All right. They like to talk to the cameras more than actually doing their job. So, Matthew, to you. Is bipartisan gridlock now just performance theater for voters?
Yeah, Congress is nothing but theater. The partisan lines is just an excuse to not do anything. And so, yeah.
All right. DL to you. Should laws automatically expire if Congress can't revisit them every decade?
I like it. I'll take it. Yes. Let them expire. Why not? I mean, think about it. Like, they're not reading the bills. They're barely voting on them. Might as well have them expire and say, well, you didn't care much about it anyway, so let it go.
They won't even know it expired. I'm with you.
Right?
All right, Franklin, to you. Has the 60 vote rule made accountability impossible?
That's literally the last question. The filibuster is the reason for the 60 vote rule. They vote for cloture, which says we're skipping filibuster with 60 votes, and then they move on. So same as before. It's dumb. Either you should work for it or get rid of it. Either way, yeah, 60 votes is just an excuse, and they've used it for a very long time to get away with doing practically nothing.
All right. Matthew, to you. Should Congress lose its paycheck when it fails to pass a budget on time?
Absolutely. They should definitely, if they can't pass a balanced budget, which affects everyday Americans, then it should affect them too.
Excellent. DL to you, the category is executive authority. Should executive orders require congressional approval after 90 days?
The way that we're doing them now, yes, because they're using executive orders for all kinds of power that they had traditionally or they're not supposed to have in the first place. So absolutely 100%. And by the way, the last question you had me at, should Congress lose their funding? I was done with that part right there. First few words.
There you go. All right. Franklin, to you. Should presidents lose authority to create new regulations through executive agencies?
Well, to be honest, I don't think presidents are doing it these days. It's usually a bunch of unelected bureaucrats or appointed bureaucrats or NGOs hired to work for unappointed bureaucrats making the rules. And the president, more often than not, is going, what the heck did you do? Stop that. And they're just like, no. And I think most of them should be fired at this point, eliminated, and gotten out of the way because they're just operating on their own. And no, the president shouldn't be able to do it either. I just don't think they're the ones primarily doing it right now.
All right. Matthew, to you. Is the presidency itself too powerful for a free republic?
I think the constitutional layout for the presidency is not, because the original intention for the presidency was not to be this powerful, position. It was meant to be more of a presiding position, hence the name presidency. But what we've done over the years is through different administrations, the position has gained power. Most notably, the earliest example was Andrew Jackson with his populism, and I think that the constitutional layout is not too powerful, but what we've added on to the position has become way too powerful.
Great answer. DLTU. Oh, nope. Enter scores. We are back to scoring. So put them in the chat if you haven't done so already. Lots going on in the chat. Ryan's got minus 100 to anyone wearing headphones, 1990 DJ style. I believe that's everybody but me. 100 to Franklin because I'm biased against Republicans. 50 to DL, free market for the win, baby. Great answer on the free market for DL. 100 to DL for free market. 50 to Franklin, repeal the ACA. Mark's here. What's up, buddy? Check out the, If by Whiskey podcast. 50 to DL, doctors are just dealers now. 50 to Franklin, repeal the ACA. 100 to Matthew, voluntary association is a natural human right. 200 DL, balance the budget and read the damn bills. Amity's got all caps on tonight. She's fired up. 100 to DL, get all those votes on record. 50 to Franklin, filibuster is now used as a cudgel. 100 to DL, making reps tell us whether they read the whole bills. They don't. They really don't. 100 to Matthew, it was always theater. 100 to cancel out Ryan's deduction for anybody wearing headphones. Points for hell yeah, free to do whatever we want as long as it's not harming someone else. Minus 100 Franklin, Republicans and Democrats are two wings of the same vulture. 100 to Matthew, if I don't do my job, I don't get paid. 50 to DL, agree, they're legislating from the executive office. 200 to Matthew for throwing a balanced budget in there. 50, let it all expire. Minus 100 to Franklin, the more gridlock, the better. The longer it is shut down, the less of our freedoms are taken. Yeah, shut it down forever, change the locks. I don't know, get some matches, do whatever you need to do. 100 for it's all theater and distraction. It's good that you realize that. Teach your peers. 50 to DL for the assist. 100 to Franklin, fire. That got Beavis and Butthead all of a sudden there. 100 to Franklin, got it all. 200 to KCC for the geriatric scoreboard. 50 to Matthew, original intent was better, but still flawed. 100 to Matthew for the presidential history lesson. Mark didn't go to public school, did he? I don't know. There's something going on in the chat. 100 to Matthew, who are your parents? You are impressive. 75 to Matthew, go back to a constitutional republic and never stop holding them accountable and being the checks and balances so it doesn't happen again. All right. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Share it out again if you get a chance. And let's jump into the geriatric scoreboard here. DL still in the lead, 2550. Matthew catching up, 2325. And Franklin with 1800. All right. DL, back to you. Category is national debt. Should Congress be required by law to balance the federal budget every year?
Yes, they should be required to balance the budget every single year, and they should be punished in some way when they don't. Fire them, preferably.
Excellent. Franklin, to you. Is America's national debt now a national security threat?
I mean, it's owned by people that are a national security threat, so it kind of has to be, yeah. But I mean, somebody had to at some point actually get enough people in there to want to get rid of it because it's not going away by itself. Nobody seems to want to spend money on the debt. They're always saying, let's give money freebies to people for votes. 2000 right before an election. Sorry, Trump. Pay down the deficit. I don't want the money.
Exactly. Matthew, to you. Should the government freeze all non-essential spending until the debt stops growing?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, pretty much 98% of government spending is non-essential. But I mean, if they can't freeze the debt, then or if they can't solve the debt, then yeah, absolutely, stop the spending.
All right. DL, back to you. Has printing money become Washington's substitute for leadership?
Printing money has become their substitute for doing their damn job. So yes.
Basically all the stuff they're supposed to do, not just leadership. I got it. Franklin, to you. Should politicians be personally penalized for every year the government runs a deficit?
I feel like this question comes up about 5 different ways, but I mean, yeah, if you're going to spend extra money, the government should say, hey, we don't have the money anymore. You shouldn't get paid at a minimum. Until the deficit is handled, we ain't paying you guys.
Yeah. Put their pensions on the line and they'll start paying attention real quick. Matthew, to you.
These are socks.
Has the national debt destroyed the future prosperity of the next generation?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it affects the economy deeply. And as we see now, the economy has not gotten better and it's on a downward spiral, and it's scary for my generation. And so, yeah, I mean, it's absolutely destroyed any chance at any economic, I don't know what word to use there, but I'm assuming you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's hurting your economic future. That's for sure.
Yes.
Excellent. All right. DL, back to you. The category is populism. Has social media made populism louder but less effective?
That's a very good question. I would say that it has made it louder, but no, not less effective necessarily. We are still seeing a lot of activity come out of social media, and it's becoming influential. I mean, now we have, I don't know, just throwing it out there, FBI directors suing, personalities on social media. So yeah, it's pretty effective.
I did not say she was a honeypot, by the way, even if she is one. I did not say that. So just for the record. All right, Franklin, to you. Should national leaders focus less on ideology and more on empowering local communities?
I mean, yes, but I also don't want them to. National leaders should not be doing much for local communities as a general rule, because anytime the government's like, we're here to help, they mess things up. The local communities should be doing things for local communities, and the federal government should just take less from them so that they can just do their own thing. I don't want the president fixing Brown County of Wisconsin as a general rule, because Brown County of Wisconsin would do a better job.
All right. Matthew, to you. Has populism been weaponized by both sides to gain power instead of give it back?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, populism, it's a weapon. I mean, it's an absolute cancer on politics in America. Both sides use it. It's not just Trump; it's also the left as well. And what it creates is this unrealistic standard for a leader. People hold guys like Trump and Biden at a very high standard, and it's being used against us every day.
All right. DL to you. The category is surveillance and control. Should local governments be able to refuse participation in federal surveillance programs?
Yes, they should. And fun fact, in Florida, no, they cannot. Florida, every single county has some agreement with ICE. I believe it's a 287G contract that they have. So they should, but they don't. And Florida is notoriously the worst.
I agree with that 100%. Franklin, to you. Has public safety become the cover story for spying?
It's become a cover story for spying, so yes. But I mean, when has the government ever needed an excuse? They just do it, and if they're caught, they use things like public safety. And the simple fact is, there are some reasons why you don't want people to know where you are if you're, say, surveilling a specific group that you know is causing trouble. But that's like a rare case, and it's the exception. And they've been making it the rule. So in general, yeah.
All right. Matthew, to you. Should facial recognition tech be banned for domestic surveillance?
Yes, absolutely. Any way that we can limit surveillance is an absolute positive. So any of that should be banned whatsoever.
I like to point out it's been used by police for stalking women too. So I like to throw that in there whenever I can. DL to you. Has national security erased personal privacy?
It absolutely has. We do not have personal privacy anymore. And the problem that we really have is that we don't know how much that we have actually lost because of secrecy.
All right. Franklin, to you. Has mass data collection turned every citizen into a suspect?
I would say probably not. But I mean, it could. Here's the thing. The government doesn't care about the individual until they need to, and then you're a suspect. So it hasn't turned everyone into a suspect yet, but it could. So I'd say probably more on the yes side, but more of a maybe.
Okay. Matthew, to you. Should agencies be required to delete unused personal data within 30 days?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, any way that we can limit agencies from gaining our personal data is also positive.
Excellent. All right. Enter scores. We're moving along nicely here. Put your scores in the chat if you have not done so already. Let's see what we got. 200 DL. I wasn't paying attention, but he's a smart guy, so I assume he earned it. 100 for wearing a shirt with his podcast logo. That's to DL. I've managed to find an excuse to shout fire every time I've joined y'all. It's my tradition. Rude, you're welcome to do that. 50 DL, fire, fire, fire. 200 DL, balance the damn budget and fire Congress if they don't. I can hear the caps from the other room here. Plus 50 to Franklin. What is the national debt? Who do we owe? 200 to Matthew. 98% is non-essential. Amen. 100 to Matthew. Yes, it's mostly non-essential. 100 for everyone that has a beard. Matthew's getting picked on here. He might have one. We don't know.
A little bit of stubble.
Yeah, there we go. 200 DL, printing money is a substitute for Congress not doing their damn job. 100 to Franklin, stop paying them to not work for us. 200 to Franklin, stop paying politicians if they can't balance the budget. 100 to Matthew, you are the next generation. I apologize on behalf of mine for what's been done to yours, 100%. 200 to Matthew for knowing his generation is completely effed. 200 to Matthew, as a young person, I hate what the government is doing to the economy, and young adults are affected most. Amity doesn't want me to get in trouble. Great answer about social media for DL. 100 to DL, social media is the news for many. 100 to Matthew for being so mad at the government he couldn't complete his thought. Yeah, that happens to me all the time, Matthew.
Yeah.
And follow Anarcho Cat. John is a friend of mine, does great memes. He's a must follow. Minus 100 to everyone that doesn't have glasses on. Again, we're picking on Matthew here. 100 to Matthew, chin up. You are not royally screwed. The future is bright, and you still have fighters out here to lift and guide you. 100 to Matthew for understanding that they are financially burdened in his generation by us and those before us. 75 to Matthew for recognizing the cult of personality. Great Living Color song, too, by the way. 50 to Matthew. That's a nuanced view. Points to DL for dropping Florida laws along with the numbers. And I think there was a subsection in there. It was really excellent. 100 to Matthew for being against facial recognition while they're on a podcast that they'll use facial recognition. Scientific, you used this joke before. That's a repeat. He's just cutting and pasting now to make fun of my questions. Hodeman's here. What's up, Hodeman? Got tied up at work, but just swung by to give 100 to DL. He's my dog. 100 to DL nailed the answer. Yes, we've lost privacy, agorism, starved DC. 100 to DL for his schooling of these other cats. Minus 100, not true, Franklin. Tell me the person, I'll tell you the crime. That's how they operate. We are all suspects in their eyes for their benefit. Minus 200 DL, keep waiting for Pelosi to pop up in the background and say good morning. And 100 to free, did everyone see the classic Halloween episode? Best wrong answer show ever. Yeah, if you haven't seen that, that was a trip. Amanda and Kyle did an amazing job on that, so we appreciate them. Let's check out the scoreboard here. All right. Got a little turn of events here. Matthew back in the lead, 35.50. DL with 28.50 and Franklin 26.50. Going into our final round here, it's getting interesting. All right. This is pick one. All right, DL to you. Best way to restore checks and balances. Congress reclaiming lawmaking power, Supreme Court enforcing constitutional limits, term limits for all branches, cutting
State
agents the
nullification.
authority.
State
What's that?
nullification. State nullification. Nullification is always the way. State nullification.
Well, all right. So like what happens here is I read them and then.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I got excited.
Okay. All right. I'll accept that as your answer. All right. Franklin, to you. Best way to fix failing schools: school choice vouchers, charter school expansion, local control of curriculum, merit-based teacher pay, homeschool funding credits.
Pick choice 6, complete transfer of the funding to a parent if they decide to opt out of the public school system. Because vouchers don't do it. $400, they're basically keeping all your money and giving you nothing.
Okay. That's fair. I kind of had that in a couple of the answers, but I'll give it to you. Matthew, to you. Best way to limit presidential power: congressional veto on executive orders, strict time limits on emergencies, balanced separation enforcement, state override authority, or independent oversight panels.
I would say congressional veto on executive orders. I think one of the biggest ways that presidential authority has been expanded is through executive orders. Big example is FDR basically killing the gold standard through executive order. And so I think if we had a congressional veto on that, it would very much limit most of the presidential overreach.
Great answer. DL, back to you. Best way to shrink federal power: department eliminations, balanced budget amendment, devolving power to states, automatic law sunsets, privatizing federal services.
I'm going to go with devolving power to the states, because then they could dissolve some of those agencies if they so chose. So I will always fall on more power to the states, less power to the federal government.
Excellent. Franklin, to you. Best way to lower healthcare costs: price transparency laws, competition across state lines, end insurance mandates, expand direct primary care, or abolish certificate of need laws. You're muted.
Yeah, I was about to say, I mean, of all those options, they're all basically equally good. They're not going to solve the primary issue, though. I think the best solution, just say insurance may not cover basic care. I mean, if they're covering everything, it'll always be more expensive than the thing they're covering. And it expands all the prices everywhere.
I like that. I've said that too, that it should be catastrophic care for insurance, and everything else you should just pay cash for. Matthew, to you. Best way to reduce national debt: balanced budget amendment, cut foreign aid, entitlement reform, freeze hiring and spending, sell unused federal assets.
I think freezing hiring and spending would be a good one. I mean, obviously, a lot of the debt comes from spending, and also hiring way too many federal employees. So I think that would be a good one.
All right. DL, back to you. Best way to make government transparent: public spending dashboards, mandatory live stream of meetings, simplified FOIA process, open source government data, or public disclosure of all contracts.
Oh man, it's tough between two: the open source and the contracts. But I'm going to fall on open source, just because I always love having more access to information to as many people as we can possibly get it to.
Excellent. Franklin, to you. Best way to end campus indoctrination: defund politicized programs, tie funding to free speech, ban ideological hiring, private accreditation alternatives, and taxpayer-funded activism.
The best solution gives everybody a better alternative than universities, really. They're private institutions that are heavily corrupt on the inside. No matter what you did, they would probably still do what they're doing, just maybe with less money. So you need to give people an alternative for higher education that isn't a university. And what shape and form that is, I'm not quite sure what the best one is, but I am working on one on my spare time for fun. So who knows? Maybe that'll turn into something.
Excellent. Good luck on that. Matthew, to you. Best way to empower ordinary citizens: citizen referendums, local governance, term limits, transparency, reforms, or decentralized decision making?
Definitely local governance, because whenever you govern at a local level, it's more personalized compared to a national or state level, because obviously the national government cannot, legislate specific county or local issues. So I think local governance creates that kind of personal connection with your government and can definitely empower voices.
Excellent. DLDU, best reform to rebalance federal power, repeal of executive orders as law, states reclaiming sovereignty, congressional veto over regulations, citizen right to challenge agencies, or a new 10th Amendment Enforcement Act?
As always, I will defer to the states. So states proclaiming their authority. The more power that we can vest, the closer to the people, the better always.
All right. Franklin, to you. Most important reform to make Congress work. Ban omnibus bills, transparency on all votes, balanced budget enforcement, end leadership control over committees, or citizen-initiated legislation.
Well, the citizen legislation technically would bypass Congress, but I don't think it would make Congress work. Your best bet would probably be full transparency, because politicians, being an animal devoted entirely to its own benefit, anything they do that is visibly bad will be more likely to get them in trouble. So they'd at least be less likely to do visibly bad things.
I like it. Matthew, to you. Most dangerous executive power: emergency declarations, executive orders, war-making authority, budget discretion, or agency control?
I would have to go with war-making authority, because I mean, the president has been given way too much power to declare war. I mean, we have not had an official declaration of war since World War II, and since then we've been in Korea, Vietnam, the Gulf, Afghanistan, and Iraq, and those result in deaths, and not just for our side, but for the other side. I mean, you look at like the Vietnam War and stuff like Agent Orange and and all that. I mean, that option definitely results in the most deaths. So I would push back on the war-making power.
Excellent answer, young man. And yeah, I think we bombed Somalia 100 times this year as well. So yeah, we've got a lot going on. DLDU, most effective way to encourage free markets: lower corporate taxes, remove occupational licenses, end federal subsidies, reduce import tariffs, or eliminate federal minimum wage?
I'm going to go with end federal subsidies. The federal government should not be subsidizing anybody, whether it's a corporation, a person, or even a small business. End them all. Let people work it out in the free market.
Excellent. Franklin, to you. Most important reform for education: parental control of funding, curriculum transparency, cut federal Department of Education, vocational training focus, or competition between schools?
Well, here's the fun thing about parental control of funding. If the parents control the funding, then the schools will vie for that funding, and thus you'll have competition between the schools. So you're kind of getting both with that one. But I will also say, as an aside, before I just say parental control of funding, obviously, the Federal Department of Education being eliminated is basically just step one. We should probably also eliminate the state one and just leave it up to local governments and local school boards. The bigger the bureaucracy, even at a state level, the worse the outcomes, almost universally.
Excellent. Matthew, to you. Most important spending cut: defense, welfare, subsidies, administrative overhead, or foreign aid?
Definitely welfare. The welfare state has created this headlock on individuals where they over rely on the government, and it's also where most of our taxes go. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. So cutting welfare any way we can is definitely the best option, in my opinion.
All right. 3 questions left. DLDU. Best reform to expose corruption: ban on anonymous donations, whistleblower rewards, live stream congressional hearings, full disclosure of lobbying meetings, or independent citizen audit boards?
Let's go with full disclosure of lobby meetings. This kind of goes along with the open source, and then it also lets the free market, the internet, they can do their thing, and they can take that information and spread it all over and let people know what's going on.
All right. Franklin, to you. Best way to reform federal healthcare power: repeal the Affordable Care Act, transfer authority to states, cap federal subsidies, limit FDA power, or decentralize Medicare?
I mean, any one of those things isn't enough, but repeal the ACA would be the best start. It is the biggest bloated mess. It increased the cost the most by itself, but you'd have to do all 5 of those and more if you really wanted to reform the system. It is a mess. And especially in the local areas, give the local areas more control over the medical funding. It really shouldn't be entirely based off of, hey, the pharmaceutical companies are going to pay me this much if I have this many people take this many drugs of this type. I feel like medical establishments should not really be funded directly by pharmaceutical companies. The conflict of interest just A, raises prices, B, causes problems.
All right. Last question of the night to you, Matthew. Most effective way to stop elitist control: end corporate welfare, ban government lobbyist jobs, decentralize agencies, limit executive privilege, or state power restoration?
I think I would go with banning the government lobbying. I think a good majority of the corruption comes from lobbying. We see that with APAC, but not just APAC. We see it with like the Chinese lobby and stuff like that, and that's where a majority of our politicians are bought out from, is lobby groups. So I would go with that one.
Excellent. All right. Enter your scores in the chat. Let us know what you thought of tonight's show. Let us know who you thought won, and share it out one more time to make sure everybody sees this. Let's see here. We got 100 to DL for nullification, fire. Ding, ding, ding. State nullification for the win. 100 to DL. 100 to Matthew for knowing history. 100 to DL. I also got excited about state nullification, federal powers. 100 to Matthew for advocating the gold standard. Sound money is secure money. 200 to Matthew. Executive orders are too powerful. 100 to DL for mentioning more power to the states. 200 to DL, always less federal power. DL gets 100, more power to the states, closer to the people. 50 to Franklin, keeps coloring outside the lines. 200 to everyone wearing a hat. 50 to Matthew, agree most debt comes from spending and administrative costs. 100 to Matthew, correct answer, freeze spending. 200 to Franklin for the healthcare answer. 100 to DL, open source. 100 to DL, open source. 200 to DL for open source. 100 to Franklin for working on something. 200 to Matthew, local is better for federal government than federal governance. 100 to Matthew, local government means accountability. 200 to Matthew for empowering citizens with local government. There's Jake. Minus 100 to Matthew, decentralization is always the answer in respect to government. Move power closer to the people. 100 to DL for mentioning power to local people. Minus 50 to Franklin, will never have full transparency. Minus 100 to Franklin, citizen legislation is possible. It's called the umbrella promise using blockchain. 75 to Matthew, but only because agency control is largely a myth these days. 100 to DL, don't subsidize anything. 100 to DL, he is a dad too. 100 to DL for mentioning the free market again. 100 to Franklin, competition breeds excellence. 200 to DL, end all subsidies. 200 to Matthew, yes, war powers need to be reined in, 100%. 200 to Matthew, end the welfare state. 50 to Matthew, the welfare state is important to cut, but the primary cost is administrative overhead in all things government. Points to DL for mentioning the free market 3 times in an hour. Points to Franklin, cut it all. 200 to Franklin, repeal the Affordable Care Act. 200 Franklin as a hug, all school funding to the parents. DL gets 100. He's the free market promoter. 50 to Matthew, agree, but I'm 50-50 on lobbying versus decentralization of all power. 200 DL, end all subsidies of any kind. Minus 100 Matthew gave the wrong answer. Correct answer is state power restoration moves power closer to the people. 200 to Matthew, our politicians are all bought by APAC. 50 to Matthew. Tough answer, but good reasoning. Zephin Harper thinks that Matthew won. 100 to Matthew. I was stuck on decentralization versus lobbying, but you're cute. That works. DL should win. Least statism answers. 200 to Franklin. If we get a balanced budget before Grand Theft Auto 6. Yeah. I don't see that happening, but let's check out and see who won here. The youngest came in first here. This is pretty exciting. Matthew,
Wow.
48.25. Squeaks past DL with 46.50. And Franklin was right there too with 43.50. Franklin, you came in third place. First time on the show. What did you think?
Oh, it's always a lot of fun. It's always the case where I'm like, I want to answer those too. I mean, I agree with basically everything I heard. It was one of those cases of, if only more Republicans thought the way a lot of y'all do.
We appreciate that. And shout out your X handle because I can't pronounce it.
Gargarath Sunman.
Okay, I'll take your word on that. Follow Franklin on X for more thoughts like these. Appreciate you doing this, Franklin. Hope you had a good time. Second place was DL. What did you think, DL?
It was good. You know, I want to give a big shout out to Matthew on that war answer, dropping some countries that we were in, just some historical knowledge. I thought that was awesome. I think somebody in the chat mentioned earlier that like, hey, when I was 18, I wouldn't have given any of these answers. And I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have given that answer when I was 18. So props to that. This was a fun show. Enjoyed the challenge. I'm glad to be on here.
Yeah, shout out your show, please.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I'm sorry. I was, Mondays through Fridays, 7:30 a.m. Early Bird Gets the Worm, Liberty Dad podcast. You can find me at youtube.libertydad.com, rumble.libertydad.com, or you can find me Liberty Dad Pod on X, or just plain old Liberty Dad on Facebook. I talk politics and culture Monday through Thursday. Fridays, Dad Talk. I kind of step away from the politics and talk about something related to dad, men, or husbands.
And D said you have you need 125 view hours to get your monetization. Shout that out.
Somewhere around there. I don't know the number off the top of my head at the moment, but yeah, there's somewhere around 120, 130 hours to make the next level. I can accept super chats and I can have like a store. And I think there's maybe one or two other goodies that YouTube will give you once you hit that metric. So yeah, I'm just a little over 100 hours away.
Excellent. So go binge watch some of DL's shows. He's got the Liberty Dad podcast. Check it out on YouTube so he gets those view hours. And on X, he's Liberty Dad Pod. Appreciate you doing this, brother. Thank you for coming by. And the big winner tonight, the youngin'. What'd you think, Matthew?
I'm at a loss for words. I mean, I was not expecting to win. I just want to thank everyone for your kind words, and I want to thank you, Free, for having me on. This was an incredible experience, and any way I can flex or develop brain muscles, it always helps, and I was very, very glad to do this.
Yeah, this ain't easy, buddy. So I mean, you did an excellent job. Many much older than you have struggled much more than you did, and you came out first, so that's extremely impressive. And it makes me so happy that we got young guys like you that are out there thinking about these problems and how to solve them and, make the world a better place for your generation, because we screwed it up all real bad. So you guys got a lot of work to do.
Yeah. Thank you.
And check out Matthew on X. He is Matthew Hunt II on X, and appreciate that. Appreciate you doing this. And let's get Terry up here and get Terry's thoughts. What do you think tonight, Terry?
I loved the questions and I loved the answers. I thought everybody did a fantastic job. You guys got a lot going on, a lot of similarities, but some differences out there too. So the chat actually loved it. And I'm always happy to see that because they're like my favorite. So you guys did a great job. I appreciate you coming on.
You want to shout out Friday, or was I not supposed to ask you?
You can ask. I might not answer, but you can ask. And no, I'm just kidding. On Friday, we have Pat Ford from the Libertarian Party, and we also have Paul Darr from the Libertarian Party, and Steve Nikela, if he doesn't have to travel. If he ends up traveling, then we're going to pull somebody else out of the hat.
Excellent. That's a good lineup. So
Yeah.
3 friends of mine, excellent people, and appreciate you putting that together. And you can follow me and Terry on X. I am Freedom for Us for All. She is Bat T76. Like I said, our swag is at freedomsuperstore.com, where you can get shirts and mugs. Check us out on YouTube and Rumble, Freedom Uncut. Make sure you check out our shorts on YouTube, and Terry's doing an excellent job with those. And thank you again to our subscribers. You can subscribe to us on X for exclusive content and events, show credit, discounts on merch, instant follow and priority DMs. This is your backstage pass. And yeah, we'll be back here Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. We're every Tuesday and Friday, 8 p.m. So we hope to see you back, and appreciate everybody in the chat, and have a good night, y'all.